All right, water.
Okay, water.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit out of control.
Ann wants the water.
Well, on this one, I guess where I went.
Did you have your same thing?
I love that. Mm. I've done about 40 bags.
Remember, water always finds its own level, so on your paper, it's going to be parallel to the edge of the paper. So that's where I want the edge of the water. I'm just wetting the background now above the water because I'm going to try to keep that sparkling edge of the water. Got a little sky up in here. Got a hair.
That looks like an easy one. Of course, none of them are easy. But...
And then we layer lighter to darker. So you would start with your lighter yellows or yellow greens back here. And we don't care about defining them too much because we want them to kind of settle back. And I'm not going to finish this, as I would if I were doing a serious painting. I don't know what to call a serious painting. What do you call a serious painting? There's your practice ones, intentional.
I call it serious painting.
Yeah. I go like, this is just a sketch. This is not a finished serious painting. And then sometimes the sketches come out really great too.
It gives you some curating, because then you do what you do after that. It never looks as good.
No, you can't do it twice. A friend of mine and I were talking about wines last night. He says, yeah, I only bought one bottle of this. He says, I'm kind of upset because now I like it so much I'll never get to drink it again. It's like, yeah, but there's so many wines out there. It's like trying to live the same day over. You don't want to do that. You want to... So it's dry here, and I'm throwing in some of these moss-colored rocks, I guess they are. I don't know why they're so green. The moss, I guess.
Oh, good.
Yeah, this works better. Okay.
So I'm going to purple those in a little bit. Add some shadows down near the water area. I could put the plastic on there if, you wanted to do that and then wait for it all to dry. But we don't have time. So you get a dark. Ultramarine blue and burnt umber make a great dark. I'm going to pick up some of this not so happy green that I have.
That will work better for you?
Yes.
While this is still fairly wet, I just want to
Yeah, learned.
throw in some darks
Needed a
along the
better tool.
edge there. And see how they're going to blend up like bushes.
Brush and do it.
Maybe.
Well, if it does what it does to the bathroom.
Exactly. Put it up in your mirror. Put your picture up in your mirror.
Well, there's a thought.
I'm just variegating some of the background right now. That seems to be like a little natural light area. Although if I leave that, it's gonna grab my eye because there's no other light areas, so let's soften that down. Yeah.
So would you say the more blurred you want the background, the more wet you should
Yes.
be working?
And if you want it sparkling and water-like, you want it dry. It's kind of counterintuitive, but yes. Now sky, as you go from the top to down below, because of the way light refracts, it's usually more ultramarine and darker above you. And it gets lighter and more cerulean as you go toward the horizon. So, you know, if I were going to do that, and this is probably too dry to do that now, I might have thrown in a little, you know, ultramarine blue up in here. But then consideration of the water, it has to go the opposite way, right? Because this back here is reflecting the sky that's down below, and this here is reflecting what's above it.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
So back here, we'll start with some kind of cerulean. And I've got a fairly dry brush, and I'm going to exaggerate this so you can kind of see. And I'm skipping across. I don't have that little bank in there. I'm just going to go along the edge here. So I'm barely touching the brush to the paper. In this area. To get that skim here, I hope it works. I want a quite dry brush. See how quite dry that is? And I'm going to try to just test it somewhere else. Didn't work that well. So I'm going to try to see that very straight edge. I'm just going to try to blend that in. But see how I kind of skipped a little bit across the water there? Let me try again. Come on, brush. It's being too good. And the sparkle's always around the rocks because it's bouncing off. This is the top side of the rock, so it's going to look like it's up against that. But when it gets down around where the water's hitting on the edge of the rock, it's going to be more smooth. I want to blend some of this in, but not all of it. Constantly thinking, going. And if this is still damp up here, which it is, I'm going to add a little of that because these trees are going to be, the shadow of the trees is going to be coming down into the water a little bit in certain areas. It's so quiet. Oops, come on. So what's behind the rock, you're going to see the smoother water behind the rock. But then as it comes around the rock, it's going to get sparkling because it's being broken up into foam and stuff. So you could take maybe something like a dry, rough brush like this. Add in some foam. It's not quite working. Oh, he's got a lot of dry down here, doesn't he? See if you, I mean, even a larger brush, by skimming that across, you get the broken water. Keep changing the angle of your brush or it's going to look the same all the way. I would get out one of my big brushes in this case. I wonder what would happen if we used a toothbrush. What do you think? It's too wet. Oh, that's kind of cool. Worked okay. Blend this a little bit. much time. See how I'm letting that get softer as it goes out? It just happened to, I look at my brush doing it and I'm like, okay, I don't like that line right there, so I just lift a little bit of it. There's also some more, is that too dry? Might be too dry. See how he's got the tree reflections coming down? So we could make this even darker. Because he has that water quite a bit darker than the rocks. And that's going to pop those rocks out.
Great.
Little reflection of the rock or whatever, something in there.
So in the picture, the shadow and the tree are like the same color almost.
Almost. He's got that very dark, yeah. I'm not looking much at the picture anymore. You know, and then you could wait for it to dry a little bit and you could bring trees out a little bit more as you go along. But it gives you maybe a beginning idea. I like this brush for rougher areas. I can control it better with irregular lines where the big one was so almost regular coming across. But see how that sparkle of skipping makes it look more like, whoops, more like water. And you could also, oh, that was too much. But water is great. I mean, it takes a lot of practice, but some areas you can have it softer. Using that type of bleeding is great for water as well. These rocks aren't great. I had forgotten about my credit card trick when I did that demo the other day. I was like, oh yeah, the credit card. Mix up some paint. Just kind of drag that in. It can create some really, that's a shadowy side of the rock. Come on. Or more algae crawling up the side of it.
That really makes a difference.
Yeah.
Isn't that simple little thing like this? And then I think I like it because we're not in complete control of it. And I like it when something works nicely, that you're not sitting there and spelling it out with every little tip of brush stroke. You just do a couple quick things and you're like, oh, that works pretty cool. Not great, but you know, this is like the first layer down. Let this dry and then you can move on to the next. Start defining where you want to define. Always try to keep your original intent in mind. What is it? Maybe the light coming here and the sparkle kind of S-ing through here again. There's a lot of different designs for paintings as well. You know, you've got your S curve, your Z's, you've got your X. There's certain, that's just another whole layer on top of it. But if you can kind of connect it and make it flow, it's really fun. And then we can like say, oh, let's, you know, so that's kind of fun too. This is too light, too even back there. That skipped nicely.
Look how much better this paper was.
Yeah, you can see even just a quick demo, this Arch paper is working so much better than that. It has more
Ooh, that just is
Flexibility.
amazing on those rocks.
I mean, the background needs, it all needs work, but to get the feeling of sparkling water. How are we doing? Any specific questions right now? Because this is the
It's
time.
interesting how many colors you worked with.
A few colors.
How few colors, you just kept changing shades and.
blending them?
Blending, yeah.
Mixing, yeah. And then after a while, it gets to be real mud, and if, you know, you have to, I don't usually clean my whole palette, I'll clean sections of it, so I can have some of these other paints to pull out of, to neutralize or soften colors.
I had the bigger one, so it helped it.
But again, there's colors on here I don't even need. I don't need that. I don't need that. I could take 2 colors off easily, right off the bat.
And are
'Cause
these
they're
colors
easy to mix.
squirted in? Are they squirted in, or do they come in blocks?
These are all tubes,
Tubes, okay, yeah, that,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
so I squirt them in there.
Yeah. Okay.
And you can see I'm getting low on a couple, so.
Yes.
And they do recons, it's better to do it with fresh paint out of the tube, that's the best way. But I'd be wasting a lot of paint, so this works fine as well.